Hello, this video is not sponsored. I have here the LEGO Blacktron Renegade for 2025. This cost me $100 US. It is 100 euros, 90 pounds UK, or $140 Canadian for 1,151 pieces. This set comes with 3 identical minifigures down here. There's a little robot. This is a land-based rover. This is a speeder, actually. This is a speeder as well. And there are various modules. I'll show you all of that stuff and how it separates out and how some of it can be recombined. Compared to the original, it's inspired by the new Renegade is big. It retains some of the design DNA with the asymmetric style and everything, but is not trying to be just a scaled up version of the original. It does things differently. Funny enough though, adjusted for inflation, the new set costs around $10 more US than the original, in spite of having something like 3.5 times as many pieces. There are no stickers in this new Renegade set, unlike with the last Blacktron throwback that we got, which was the gift with purchase little cruiser. So anywhere you see decorations, those are prints, and some of them are probably going to be exclusive. The print quality is okay. It's not the best, printing light on black, but I've seen worse from LEGO, and it's a little bit better than it used to be back in the old days, at least. The cockpit does accommodate 2 figures, and the entire cockpit unit can come off as its own thing. Again, I'll show you the modules later on and how those can move around. I don't like this nose. I don't like how the nose was done. Just a single flat flag piece. I mean, it's nice that that can pop up to let you see the light under here. You can see that as being, I don't know, something for targeting or just illumination. You can also pull this off to use it as a minifig accessory, but still, I would have preferred something more solid up here. There are 4 landing gear assemblies, and thankfully each of those is fully retractable up into the fuselage, and that's done in a similar way to the Galaxy Explorer. There are only a handful of what I would call large or large-ish pieces, like this long support bit here, this very old design of part with the lattice in it in black here, and just plates. There was the windscreen over here, but for the most part, the build of this uses very reasonable size pieces. You really do assemble this together much more than with older sets. It's much more of a complete building process with a lot of sub-assemblies that you put together individually and then click together. And it's pretty strong. I personally kind of wish it was stronger for its weight, just for the sake of grabbing it and picking it up and flying it around. It feels okay. It doesn't feel like it's going to flex or anything, but there's just a few spots where, depending upon how you have it set up with the modules, I don't know, it feels like it could have been just a little bit more tight around some of the joints. I don't see a whole lot of weird colors around here. The weirdest stuff is just with these not mini kits here, totally not mini kits from the LEGO games that represent little power modules. Just got the light gray there, but otherwise, for the most part, you're not seeing like blue pins and tan and green and stuff. So good job by the designer there, making sure that this thing would look pretty clean, even from the underside. I mean, it's not looking great from the underside, but it's definitely not looking bad. Since you've seen this thing moving around a little bit, let me just go ahead and show you now the drop-off feature, which the original did not have. Now, the original had something different in this space, a cargo module. Instead, you get this little surface rover tug truck thing, which has an additional console on the back. You can put figures back here. You can put cargo on the bed. It's, kind of works like a pickup truck, but I personally would have preferred to have something that was covered as well so that you could use it as a module in space. But, just as it is, it's also open on the side. So a little bit of suspension of disbelief is required there since this is all sealed up, but then this definitely is not. So if you wanted to have your third figure in here, since the main area only carries 2, this carries 1, but then what happens when you're in space? Would have been nice to have this sealed up better. But this, for what it is nice. It very much reminds me of something from Aliens or Starship Troopers or, some classic sci-fi, which is a good thing. To pick it back up, though, you do have to have the gear retracted here. This is not going to go down far enough, so retract the gear front and rear, and then you can just come along and do one of these things. Just line it up, click, and it picks it up. You're ready to drop it off. That's a really, really slick mechanism. Very nicely done. Simple, doesn't use any springs or rubber bands or anything like that. Just, it's cool. Subtle too. Similar to the way that I'm not fully satisfied with the nose, I'm not fully satisfied with the engine outlets either. These just look too cylindrical to me, and this almost looks like a meniscus here rather than a glow or a blast, something more traditionally nozzle shaped would have been nicer. You got the beginnings of it here, but then just the ends with these wheel pieces just kind of doesn't end up working for me. Probably at the very least swapping this around, these dish pieces so that they're facing the other way, I think would have looked better. All right, let's check out the things that can be removed and separated here. First of all, the main cockpit section, all that can come off. You can also pull out these little side wings as well. So this can fly around just by itself, or you can also add to it one of these, the engine modules here. That's just going to connect right on there. It kind of makes a little bit more sense that way perhaps, but that leaves you with one extra engine module over here. And you can pair that up with this over here, which is kind of weird. What exactly? It's supposed to be like a sensor array, but then I guess this is looking like a satellite or something that's going to launch a satellite. A droid memory module final stage thing. I don't know. It's a thing, but I don't know how just useful that is. And also, you could potentially, these are reversible, so you could potentially do this. So that gives you a different style for your engines. That kind of works, but you can't put anything in between here is the thing. That's what I was saying about this. It would have been nice if this could have been used as a module. Maybe if the bumper came off, or even if the whole front end came off, leave the rear wheels in there and then just be able to plug it in the middle like you could with the old one. Its cargo module could be used in that way. The last things that can come off, see, it doesn't really go that far, does it, with the modular system? Last things that can come off are these little speeders here. So they made the not Triforce logo, but the Black Force logo with actual builds rather than prints or stickers. Each of those can be pulled off, and then these can be deployed as either little drone type things, just have them fly around like this, or just turn the outside yellow triangles up, and then you can stand a figure right there. They're not able to sit down, but at least they can stand, and you can just imagine them flying around. You could also turn this up if you want to, if that makes sense to you. Maybe be able to use that as the control there. Turn it down just a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely a cool little thing, and I appreciate the physical build for the logo there. One last thing on the topic of modules, there's been some confusion and unintentional misinformation about what's compatible between the new Renegade and this gift with purchase Blacktron cruiser. Ultimately, it's not a simple answer. Some of the modules are compatible, some of them in some ways, and some of them are not, because the new uses a reversible system. You've always got clips on one side and then bars on the other. So anywhere you can put those together. You can even do things like this. You can even do things like this. It's just always going to work. Compared to this guy, which, down here you've got two clips at the bottom, one clip at the top. Over here you've got no clips whatsoever. So I could do this anywhere. I can attach any module to that. I could even attach this here like that. As long as you've got that clearance there, you can do that. But it's not going to work with everything. So here I cannot attach this way. And if I use this is the one from the gift with purchase. Now I can't put this engine back here. And the reason I can actually do this, I can go double-ended with it. The reason that this is the case is that when the gift with purchase was designed, the design team had no idea that the new Blacktron Renegade was even going to be made in the first place. So this is not going to work. This is not going to work without modification. You can modify it, definitely. It's not going to be that difficult to make this compliant with the system, but just not everything is going to work out of the box. And again, they just didn't know at the time. Trying to use as many of the modules together as I could. This is the most different thing that I could come up with, which, it's mostly just reshuffling the gift with purchase cruiser and just attaching it to one of the sides. And then you end up with an extra engine or front section over there, plus just the smallest little add-on bits from the cruiser. It's not that convincing. Again, it's too bad that these aren't fully compatible, but add your own pieces. It doesn't take too many to bring in the proper compatibility all the way across. Oh, and I almost forgot to explicitly mention that these obviously can be removed, and that goes for each of them, so they can be used as cargo. You need to swap them out, you know, when you land at a fueling station or something like that. But yeah, they're nice. There's also a Blacktron Alienator mech-based official alternate build that was designed as part of the original brief for this, not an add-on, so it's fully official. They got instructions up for it and everything, but I'll have to cover this in a separate video of its own. The Renegade set comes with 3 Blacktron figures that are identical. So here I've just got one with all the accessories on and then one with the air tanks removed and the helmet removed, just so that you can see more details more quickly. Again, a total of 3 of those are included in the set. And then on the right is just a Blacktronified version of one of the old good guy robots. You're not supposed to say droid officially legally because Lucasfilm owns the rights to that word, but you can call it a droid if you want to. I won't tell anybody. Finally, here's a comparison of actually 3 different generations of Blacktron figures. So this is from the current new set. This is from the gift with purchase from a little while ago. And this is from the original Renegade set. As you can see, the designs are intended to be the same. This one has a little bit of splotching on there, which is not to be expected throughout that entire batch. Just, you know, there is variability. There's also going to be variability in opacity of the white. In this lineup, you can see that this one is the most opaque by the slightest margin, but that's not always going to be the case. And then the oldest has the least opacity. So there's a slight forward movement in quality, even though Lego is perfectly capable of doing better than this right here. And also the newer ones have the design on the back as well, which the original did not. Again, this cost me $100 US. It's 100 euros, 90 pounds UK, or $140 Canadian for 1,151 pieces. I think the value here is okay. It's the same price and similar size. As a matter of fact, let me do this. This is one comparison that I didn't do over in the white void room was to this in terms of just the size and, you know, how they kind of hold up to one another. Similar distance from the camera, maybe something like that. As a matter of fact, I can do this. Watch. I have the technology. I just want to show you just a little bit better how this fits. There we go. Something like that. You know, just a relative size. So this is actually a little bit shorter than the Galaxy Explorer was. But the thing about the Galaxy Explorer was, remember, this was, at least in the US, this was on clearance, at least on sale at Walmart in the US for $75 for almost its entire lifespan, and it still had trouble selling at that. It briefly, I think it was for Black Friday, it briefly went for $50 US and did not fully sell out. So it spent most of its time at 75. Therefore, I think that this would be better priced at 75 as well. I think that there's probably similar interest to this compared to the Galaxy Explorer, maybe slightly less. This is not as good of a set as Galaxy Explorer was, at least in my personal opinion. It just can't do as much, and that's just because of its design. You know, it's got this twin boom design. I guess I don't know with the part budget if they could have done better back here with the drop section where they've got the Rover there, because the Rover itself is nice, but compared to the idea of having a cargo box there, something that could have been a lab or I don't know, a prison, you know, a temporary holding cell or something that they could have been closed up. Maybe that could have brought it closer to the Galaxy Explorer in terms of play value. Because as it is right now, honestly, pretty much all of this entire boom, there's nothing you can do with it. You can launch one of these off to the side, but this whole section right here, not so much. And then similarly, this whole section right here, not so much. You can launch this, you can pull this out and put it back. And the modules can do a little bit. Basically, the main thing you're going to do with the modules is take this off, put these two together, and then open up the wings. And you're going to fly this around as its own thing, you know? Whee! That's cool. And how many people of any age actually want to do this? Take the front and back of the other boom off, put these together, and fly this around. It's a thing. It's not a great thing. So play value here is not as good. It's nice to be able to drop the Rover and stuff. It's just not as great of a set on the whole. And that's okay. That's completely okay. But I do wish that it was a little bit cheaper as a result, especially having the data, the knowledge from how the Galaxy Explorer did or did not do. I think that classic space fans do tend to strongly, as most nostalgic folks tend to overestimate their number and their power on the market relative to things that are actually made for today's core market segments and everything. And that's also okay. But I've seen a lot of complaints about this having too much yellow in it as well. And I agree, but I don't think that is a killer here. I don't think that that's a major factor. It's easy enough to swap out some, at least around the cockpit area, some of the black, but it doesn't bother me that much. It bothers me a little bit more just the nose, the fact that the nose is not solid, is not more like a cone, and the fact that back here the engines also don't end up as cones. These are really nitpicks, though. Honestly, they're nitpicks. Overall, it's a perfectly fine set, just not great. That's all. Could I have done better? Not necessarily. Could Lego have done better? I think so. I really do think so, given how well they did with the Galaxy Explorer. And it's too bad about the slight lack of compatibility with the last Blacktron thing. But again, they couldn't avoid that, and we can fix that very, very easily. But thank you very much for watching. I hope that at least I brought some value to you here with this video. Thank you especially to my Patreon members who have been really keeping me afloat and really helping me a lot over the past 3 to 4 years of struggles with YouTube, really allowing me to be able to continue to do stuff as I try to recover from all the destruction that YouTube put me through as I migrate all my previous 10 years of work over to other channels that are actually going to work, like the one that we're on right now. Speaking of which, I do have the review of the old Renegade that has been re-uploaded to this channel right here. You can just find that by doing a quick search for it. And also you'll find the review for this out there and stuff. And I will follow up with a look at the alternate build for this, and also probably on the other channel do a comparison dedicated to this versus the old one. Lot to do, lots of work constantly. But thank you for your support up to this point, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.